if you look at just the general architecture of our modern lives right now, we've basically turned every single inconvenience into a monthly subscription service.
Oh, absolutely. Everything is on demand.
Right.
Yeah.
Like you don't buy physical media anymore. You just stream it from a server 1,000 miles away. You don't necessarily even buy a car. You lease it, or you just use a rideshare app.
Yeah, it's all about access over ownership.
Exactly.
Mm.
And it's brilliant in its own way, right? I mean, you're essentially leasing the software of life without ever having to own the hardware. You get all the immediate benefits, the entertainment, the transportation, but you completely bypass the messy reality of maintenance.
Right, because if a hard drive fails or an engine breaks down, it's just not your problem.
Exactly. You just hand the problem back to the provider. It is like the ultimate optimization of convenience.
It really is. It's consumption completely divorced from ownership. And the psychological mechanism there is fascinating because it actually trains our brains to expect this frictionless existence. Like the whole user experience is designed to be completely clean, entirely predictable, and just devoid of any real-world friction or long-term stakes.
And that expectation of a frictionless existence is exactly what brings us to today's stack of sources. So welcome to the deep dive.
Glad to be here for this one.
Yeah, today we are looking at a highly detailed analysis of the 2026 dating landscape.
Mm-hmm.
And our mission today is to really uncover how this exact subscription mindset we just talked about has completely derailed modern romance.
It really has. The data on this is wild.
Because whether you are casually dating right now, actively seeking a life partner, or maybe you're just insanely curious about why social dynamics feel so incredibly exhausting lately, understanding this specific trend is basically your ultimate shortcut to making sense of all the confusion.
Yeah, it gives you a totally new lens to view things through.
Exactly. So the sources detail this sociological phenomenon called no responsibility without companionship. Okay, let's unpack this. What exactly is the mechanism at play here?
Well, the core of this paradox is that people are applying that exact consumer software mindset, the one we were just talking about, to actual human beings.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah. Based on the documentation, individuals today desperately crave the premium features of a relationship. I mean, they want the deep emotional connection, the physical intimacy.
Text messages.
Right, the texts that make them feel seen, a reliable support system when their personal lives get stressful. But, and this is the kicker, they are actively engineering their lives to avoid paying the subscription cost.
And the cost in this case being what?
Accountability,
Yeah.
emotional responsibility, mutual sacrifice, and, long-term planning.
Right. So it's like they want the dopamine hit of feeling loved without the cognitive load of having to actually love someone back when it gets difficult.
Yes, that is the perfect way to frame it. It is entirely a one-way extraction of emotional resources. I know, it's dark.
Yeah.
But they want someone to be fiercely loyal to them, but they want to reserve the right to just opt out the second that loyalty requires them to, say, compromise on a random Tuesday night.
Right. The second there's a glitch in the software, they cancel the subscription.
Exactly.
Okay, so now that we have established what this paradox actually is, we really have to look at the environmental factors driving it.
Yeah.
Because human biology hasn't changed in the last decade, right?
So of course not.
But our technological and cultural environments have fundamentally rewired our relationship brains. And the source material actually outlines 4 primary drivers causing this shift.
Yeah, these 4 drivers really paint a clear picture of how we got here.
So the first one they mentioned is the illusion of infinite choice created by dating apps. But I don't want to just say, apps make people picky. What is actually happening in our brains when we have 10,000 potential partners sitting right in our pockets?
Well, it fundamentally alters how the human brain processes scarcity and abundance. Like, when you interact with an algorithm that is designed to present a never-ending feed of highly curated profiles,
Endless.
right, you aren't just looking at people anymore. You are experiencing the psychological phenomenon of choice paralysis. The brain just becomes totally overwhelmed by the sheer volume of options.
So we just shut down.
Basically, yeah. It creates this massive psychological block against commitment. Because if you commit to the person sitting across from you at dinner, you are simultaneously saying no to the thousands of theoretically better options just hiding in your phone.
Wow, so it's that constant lingering thought of what if?
Exactly.
I mean, if a relationship is a piece of hardware you have to maintain, why would you ever spend time fixing a glitch in your current relationship when you can literally just swipe and download a shiny new one?
You wouldn't. Or at least your brain tells you it's not worth the effort.
The friction of working through a simple disagreement just feels entirely unnecessary when a new conflict-free interaction is just a screen tap away.
And that constant disposability creates an incredibly hostile environment for trust, which actually triggers the second major driver from the sources, the profound fear of vulnerability.
Right, because nobody wants to be the disposable one.
Exactly. When you are swimming in a dating pool where everyone treats each other as infinitely replaceable, the natural psychological response is to put up a massive defense mechanism.
That makes total sense.
The text notes that many people operating within this paradox are carrying significant emotional scar tissue, from past relationships where they were treated as disposable.
So the logic just becomes, if I don't invest anything real, I can't be devastated when they inevitably swipe to the next person.
Precisely. It's preventative emotional armor.
They're seeking out low-risk affection. Like, they want the warmth of another human being, but they keep one foot out the door at all times just to protect their own ego.
And the tragic irony here, as the sources point out, is that this self-preservation tactic absolutely guarantees the failure of the relationship.
Because you can't have real connection without it, right?
Right. True intimacy is entirely dependent on vulnerability. You cannot biologically or psychologically hack your way into a deep connection without assuming the risk of getting hurt.
It's part of the deal.
It is the deal. So by wearing that emotional armor, they are starving themselves of the very connection they are so desperately trying to find.
Man, that's heavy. And I think this connects directly to something I really want to challenge you on, actually.
Oh, okay. Let's hear it.
Because the third driver listed in the text is the modern cultural celebration of individualism over partnership.
Yes, hyper-individualism.
Right, because we live in an era that aggressively promotes hustle culture, career optimization, and just intense self-development. But wait a second, isn't individualism a genuinely good thing? Because we are constantly told by every self-help book and podcast to prioritize our own self-growth, right? To establish fierce boundaries and to be entirely independent. So when does the pursuit of self-actualization cross the line into being toxic for a romantic partnership?
What's fascinating here is that the source text explicitly separates healthy self-actualization from this toxic hyper-individualism.
Okay.
Personal growth is undeniably positive, but the line is crossed when the concept of personal convenience completely eclipses shared responsibility.
Ah, so it's about convenience.
Yes. Hyper-individualism trains people to view any compromise as a literal threat to their autonomy. Like, if you are only willing to be a supportive partner when it fits perfectly into your heavily optimized, color-coded calendar,
Then you aren't actually in a partnership.
exactly.
You just have a very convenient accessory for your own life movie. Like you're putting the me so far ahead of the we that the we ceases to exist.
Precisely. A functional relationship requires a foundational willingness to occasionally deprioritize your own immediate convenience for the long-term health of the unit.
Right.
When hyper-individualism tells you that any inconvenience is a violation of your peace, you just lose the ability to build anything durable with another human being.
And this hyper-individualistic mindset is totally supercharged by the fourth driver, social media expectations. But it's not just the classic, comparing yourself to models trope.
No, it's way more subtle and damaging than that.
Right. The sources dive into how social media creates this totally unrealistic baseline for what the mechanics of a relationship should actually look like.
It really creates a massive sociological blind spot.
Yeah.
Because the algorithms prioritize visually stunning, frictionless moments.
Of course. Nobody posts their arguments.
Exactly. You see the extravagant anniversaries, the curated vacations, the perfectly aesthetic morning coffees. You're essentially